Hey, I'm John Tabler. Welcome back. Today, you can see I don't have anything here, so what am I going to do? I'm actually going to take sourdough starter out of the refrigerator and see what you do when you're getting ready to start something. So let's go straight to the refrigerator. And magic, there it is. And so I actually have two starters in the refrigerator right now. One that's been in there longer and one's been in there a little bit shorter time, but they're really about the same. You know, I use a glass container, and I just use glasses, simple glasses, and put a piece of plastic on the top of it just to seal it off. So I want you to see what's going to happen though as I take the lid off. There's a liquid on the top of it, and you'll always see that, and it could be clear, it could be a little darker. That's called the hooch, which comes from the word Huchinu, which is a tribe of Indians off the northern, up by Alaska, off the coast, and they were known for creating alcoholic beverages, and it has an alcoholic content in it, and so it's called the hooch. And that's come to be called in a lot of different areas, alcohol will be called hooch, but it comes from a tribe called the Huchinu or Hutsnuwu Indians that really means bear fort, grizzly fort, because that's the ones that was attributed to. I think it's kind of odd how you can have that called over the world, and it's a tiny little island up there, but that's what it is, and that's what's on top. And here's your choices. You can pour it off, or you can keep it in. You really can't go wrong. Okay, the thing I want you to know is this is a little bit like making tea. Okay, you can put the bag in first, pour the water on top. You can pour the water in first, you can put the bag on top. You can open the bag up and sprinkle it all in there and pour the water out and then strain it. It's all going to be tea. You're not going to have any problem with this either. The fun thing about this, you can take your spoon and taste it. And the longer it sits, the more acidic it gets. Now you can actually, again, pour this off if you want and add some flour. I normally store smaller amounts in the refrigerator, and so I usually need to add some, and I normally add some flour to it about 8 hours before I'm going to use it. And if I'm going to use it a little quicker, I'll put it in the sink in some warm water up to about there on the glass, and it'll speed the fermentation up. The warmer it is, the quicker the fermentation goes. But once this starter has been made, and it's a little lemony or sharp, once it's made, think of that like a charged battery. And so when you put that in or add some flour to it to add to your starter, it's going to energize that and create a bubbly mixture. And a lot of people say, well, you need to create that before you add it to the dough. You don't. It created the bubbly mixture in that, it'll create the bubbly mixture in the dough. Now the things I've noticed is that it'll be a little bit more acidic if you don't add flour to it, but then I'll just use a little bit less of this. So I'm actually not even going to pour that off. I'm just going to stir it. Now you'll see on the sides of the cup, it sticks to the sides of the cup. And you know, from time to time, it's oxygen that gets to it that actually starts to corrupt it. And so what you want to do is take either a paper towel and just scrape it off around there. Don't use water with chlorine on the paper towel. If you use a little bit of water, just put some from purified water or spring water, and you can clean the side of the cup off. And you know, a lot of this is your thinking. You know, when you go to a restaurant and they put a piece of parsley on your plate, garnish next to the food, you know, that's to psych you out and just give your appetite, make your appetite good. And that stuff never tasted good to eat it, but that was to make your appetite good. There's a lot of things that can keep your appetite good, and the main thing about this is you want to be happy and have your appetite good while you're making it. So if you see something on there that kind of grosses you out, get rid of it. From time to time, if it gets any buildup or starts to turn dark, I'll take a spoon and take another glass and just take some out and drop it right in the bottom and just basically transfer from one cup to a clean cup. But none of it really matters as far as whether you pour it off or keep it in there, or add. So if I'm going to add, I'm going to take some flour and add about an inch of flour to it. And this is whole wheat flour because I want all the vitamins. This is a nourishment thing to eat sourdough. A lot of people think it's a little bit trendy and kind of cool and it tastes good. But the nourishment in this is multitudes over any other thing that you could eat that they even approached calling bread. This unlocks the nutrients. So the main thing is just to eat it and make it simply and easily. So now I got to add a little bit of water to that. Now this is purified water. I have a water purifier. I'm not filling this up out of the sink. That would not be good. You'll come back and it'll be rotten. Chlorine will take care of it. You do not want that. But like I said, I'll add it like that, and then I'll set that aside at room temperature. It's a little thicker than a paste, you know. I can set that aside. Now, since it's been in the refrigerator, it's going to be a little colder. I'm going to need a paper towel. I'm going to have a mess here shortly. Mostly on me. That's okay though. So definitely don't want to have a mess, but you just fill that up and then you can set that aside at room temperature. If it's a little bit cold and you want to use it that evening, you can warm it up a little bit in a, put it in the sink and just fill up a little bit of warm water. Not too hot, but just a little warm and it'll speed it up. The other one that I have here, I mean, it doesn't have quite as much on the top, but the main thing is that you can go over and clean off the top and take out anything that is doesn't look appetizing to you. Then you can take a paper towel, and I'll put a little spring water, purified water on it. I'll wipe off the side of the cup just to keep it clean. It's better for me. It's not going to matter to it. If you think about the people that have made bread throughout history, you know, I really don't think they were keeping ultra clean. This isn't a pharmacy or a lab. This is food, and once that substance has when you taste it, has that tangy, alive, sour taste to it, that is like a barrier against any organisms that could come against that and rot it and break it down. It's the opposite of that. It's preserved. It's antifungal. You know, yeast is a fungus, and yeast cannot even begin to permeate that substance because this is antifungal. And yeast can grow on the top in the presence of oxygen, but when that substance is so strong and has built up to such a strong, powerful starter, it's impervious to that. And even if some of it got on top of it and mixed in, it would completely just be wiped out right away. So I do always want to guard on the top against any, you know, kind of funky, so to speak, stuff getting on there or getting around the edge of the cup. But all you got to do is scrape that off, get rid of it. The substance itself is pure. And again, you can use it exactly like this. You can take and put 3 tablespoons of this, and sometimes when it's more acidic and I haven't added some flour already, I'll use a little bit less in my dough ball, and it works fine. And might use just a little bit more after the flour that I've added. And when I add that to the dough, either one of them will be good. But sometimes you'll notice that the longer it sits, the more strong or acidic it gets, and sometimes that can transfer to the loaf if you put too much in and make your loaf a little bit more acidic. Either way, it's going to be completely fermented. The gluten's going to be wiped out. The nutrients are going to be unlocked. The lectins that defend it from predators, the plant from predators, will be wiped out. And additionally, an amazing thing about fermentation is that if there are any toxins or chemicals on that wheat, which there pretty much are on all wheat, because they not only put it on during growing, but they also put it on during storage. And so when you ferment it, it wipes it out miraculously. It just completely degrades and wipes out those toxins. And not only does that for the food, but it can do that in your body. So these are amazing things of the many reasons why you should ferment your wheat and add fermented foods to your diet, because in the same way that this starter electrifies and starts, so to speak, the dough into doing all that in a much quicker time than it did originally when you made it, so the same holds true in your body. For instance, if you add sauerkraut, which is a fermented substance just like this, after you eat a salad or add it to a salad, just a few spoonfuls, it will ferment that salad while you're digesting it and create a complete digestion of that and unlock the nutrients in that in the same way, essentially turning your salad into sauerkraut in your digestive tract. So these are amazing things, amazing health properties, but when you're taking this out of the refrigerator, just don't worry too much about what you do or what you're going to do. You can pour it off, you can add to it. The main thing is you got to have enough starter, so if you add this to your dough, you're not going to have that much left. So I put in it, I choose to put my flour in after I've taken it out of the refrigerator, and rather than use it, add a bunch and stick it in there, because I like it to ferment at room temperature. So I think this will help you a lot. Just keep it clean, be more appetizing for you, but it doesn't matter if you use it just like this and I take 3 spoonfuls and add to my dough ball, or if I add the flour to it and wait about 8 hours after that to where it's fermented. You will need to wait. It'll happen pretty quick. It can happen if you do it in the morning, you'll be ready to go by night and make your bread by night. And so, I mean, that's the way I normally do it. So that's the way I like. I'll put it in the morning and then I'll make my dough at night and then I'll bake it the next day. And so there you have it. So now you can do it. You're going to do it. And I mean, it's easy. You're going to have fun and you're going to enjoy it. And you're not going to complicate things like so many things can lead to, and complicating how to make this and everything. I just want you to keep it simple. But that's what you do with your starter when you take it out. Have fun, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.